Jenny with On Fire Fit, and welcome to another episode of High Heel Hallelujah. Today I am talking about opportunities for change, but first, let's look at the shoes. These heels my husband got on one of his trips to Las Vegas. And they are Italian. I don't know if I can do justice to the name. I think it's Cesar Passati or Cesar Passati. But these shoes have been definitely redone quite a few times. I have had to have the heels put back on, the soles put back on, the toe tips have had to be redone so many times, and I've had these for a long time. I have worn them to work, and yet they're actually not uncomfortable, you would think, with the pointy toe they are, but they really aren't. They're very easy to walk in and everything. But I just think it's interesting how a pair of shoes, maybe years ago, I used to throw away shoes that would get worn out, and now I tend to repair and kind of keep alive shoes that have taken a beating. And I am going to tie that into our videos. So of course, that's what we do. So let's talk. The first thing I want to share is that I go through difficult times like anybody. I try to stay very positive, and for the most part, I can definitely look at situations through a great lens and see God. But there are moments in my life, as I'm sure in your life, I don't know if anybody gets through this life without having those moments when you're just going, what is going on? How much longer can I endure? How many more trips around the mountain? We know the story in the Bible about the Israelites that went around and around and around the mountain. And sometimes it just feels like we are worn out. We have taken a beating. We feel like we are constantly in repair. And I think that this is part of life. And my dear friend and I, Gemma, talk about this all the time, that we want to have the fruit, we want to be oil producing, wine producing, whatever from the crushing that happens. We know in the Bible that it talks about needing to refine us so that we can move forward and be more productive in the things that God has called us to do. But we don't like the crushing. We don't like the refining. We don't want to go through any of the repair stuff. Just sometimes it would feel better, just throw it out and get something new. But the way that God works is He patiently and lovingly restores us and brings us to new and better levels. And it's only because we have gone through those things that we start to produce the oil or the wine, however you want to look at that. But I think that during that process, sometimes it's very hard to keep that perspective. Yesterday I had quite a bit of a hard time because this jaw that I've had a problem with for 12 years was hurting more. I'm in a place of indecision as to what I need to do about it. I don't know if I need to just wait. I don't know if I should go forward with surgery. So the struggle is real, and I'm sure that for some of you, there's something going on in your life that you're struggling with as well. I have found for my own life perspective, once I get out of that kind of depth of emotional pit I try not to let myself stay there. Sometimes it's really hard to control your emotions, but when I start to pull out of it, I realize that the process of going through that is actually what God is using for His purpose, and that I need to be able to see that as the thing is going on before I see the outcome. And this is where I want to talk about the opportunity. So one of the areas that I know that a lot of my people that I coach struggle with is eating. their health and their ability to really kind of break through this area that has felt like a stronghold in their life for so long. And I would challenge you to consider using that very struggle as your opportunity to be refined, to be more fruit productive, more wine productive, more oil producing, whatever you want to say. The way that I have said in videos before, and you'll hear it over and over again from me, I believe that when we just get down to the basics and we turn all of those moments of struggle into an opportunity, we will start to see what God is doing. For me in particular, with things like eating or coaching people with their food issues and things like that, if we can get to where we use the opportunity every time that we eat as an opportunity to connect deeper with God. So whether that is a prayer before you start eating, whether that is what I do is remain undistracted while I'm eating and really just use that time for prayer. In the Bible, there are many examples of this, but we'll talk about Daniel, who used 3 times a day to pray. And it's interesting, we typically eat 3 times a day. Maybe you eat more than that, but or less. But those opportunities, if we connect the very thing that we struggle with the power source, we can see that that will turn into something that is an opportunity for God to fulfill his purpose through us. So if you are one of my people that I coach in health, let's get back to the basics. Let's get back to how God made us. Are you hungry? If you are, sit down undistracted and eat whatever you've chosen. And as you are eating, pay attention. Am I getting full? Do I feel satisfied? Is what I chose really filling the need that I have? If I am not hungry, or if I am eating and I feel like I'm getting full, but I still want to just keep going, what is that feeling really all about? Let's use the cues that God gave us to let him start to connect us on a deeper level with him. And that is how we are going to use a struggle as an opportunity for growth. For me, this situation with my jaw, yesterday I was really close to the point of just saying, I don't know if I can keep making videos because my jaw hurts at the end of them. It's very hard for me to work because talking to patients all day long gives me a lot of pain. However, I am going to use this opportunity to praise and thank God. This very jaw, every time I feel the pain, I am going to praise and thank him. And I think sometimes we disarm hell and Satan by choosing praise in the middle of pain. If we were to choose every single time we were up against a temptation or pain or the opportunity to complain, if we chose instead to praise God, thank God before the outcome, let him refine us, see it from that perspective of it's actually setting me up for the purpose that he has for me. If we were to look at it from that standpoint, I think we could disarm hell and cause the things that are plaguing us to actually move away from us. And I think that it's kind of an abstract concept maybe for some people, but I know that some of you connect with me on this because you've explained your situation to me and the struggle that you've had. So I really challenge you to use anything that you are going through as an opportunity to praise and thank God for how he is using it for your good and for the good of those around you. There have been some more difficult things to deal with lately, in my opinion, a pastor who took his life recently and things like this. And it creates this sense of hopelessness sometimes for people. And I think what we have to realize is if we are still here, God has a reason for keeping us here. If we have lost someone that we love, we're never going to understand it fully. We're not going to understand this life, and getting to the point where we can trust God even though we don't understand is so important. But I think we also have to look at it from the standpoint is there is a reason that we're still here. Thankfully, we'll get to see them one day in heaven, and thankfully we don't have to be separated from them forever. But when we think about, why don't we all just go move on and take our lives so that we can be out of the pain of this moment, the reason is because there still is a purpose for us here. And thankfully we know that this isn't all there is, and that this pain of this life is not all there is. But we also know that God gives us the ability to rise above circumstances and to be used for his purpose, which is actually unbelievably joy-filled and peace-filled. And we can look forward to what he is doing in our lives for as long as he chooses to keep us here. So wrapping it back up, if you can look at whatever you're going through, whatever area that you struggle with, as an opportunity to connect deeper to God, to find out more who he is for you, who he is to you, who is this God of the universe, what is he for? Graham Cook is this awesome preacher. Who is God for me in this moment? And who am I? I am his child. I am more than a conqueror. I am not the stupid things that I've done. I am not the bad habits that I keep going back to. That is not who I am. I've talked about that before, your who and your do. This is who I am. This is some of the stuff that I've done. But this is who God is. This is who I am. And I'm going to use every single time I come up against this temptation or this pain, I'm going to choose to use it as an opportunity to deepen my relationship with God and discover my purpose. And I think that in those ways, we will find ourselves overcoming. We are always in a position of victory, so we have to remember that we are not fighting for victory. We are fighting from victory because Christ already won that for us. But in those moments when we're stuck, if we can hold on to the opportunity that God is restoring us, repairing us, taking everything and making us new, that we will look forward to those little moments of struggle sometimes so that we know that we have a greater purpose in this life. So I hope that that gives you something to think about. I thank you so much for being with me today. And as always, I hope that you are living your life on fire. And I will take this opportunity to walk in my high heels, not on my wood floor, where I attempted to try this the first time, but with trying to not put any pressure in my heel, that was not a very pretty walk. So out on the cement where the ground can withstand the heel of this shoe. Thanks so much for being with me. I really appreciate the time that you take to spend part of your day with me. So I hope that you have a wonderful day.